everybody. A warm welcome to Wisdom from North. My name is Jannecke, and I'm here today with the Evolutionary Astrologer Maurice Fernandez. He's here in Oslo right now because he's giving a lecture at the big Polaris Astrology Conference, which is here in Oslo right now with a lot of splendid speakers. Maurice also just recently came down from Kirkenes, a place up north in Norway, where he visited the white reindeers and met the Sami people, and we'll talk about that later. And Maurice is also the author of two books called Neptune, the 12th House and Pisces, and Astrology and the Evolution of Consciousness. Now, Maurice, thank you so much for taking time in between all these lectures, and welcome to Wisdom from North.
Thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to sharing this information to the Norwegian people and beyond.
Me too, because I know that you're brilliant in astrology, and we'll talk about that later. But first, I'm very curious about your trip to Norway, because I know you recently took a trip down to Timbavati, to South Africa, where Linda Tucker, whom I just interviewed, is doing amazing work with protecting the white lions. So you went down there with a retreat and a group. And now you went up to the north of Norway. Now, what's the connection between these places? Because I know that you told me there's some sort of a connection.
Well, the way it started is I met Linda about 4.5 years ago when I learned about the white lions. And I was always very, very curious about nature because I'm very close to nature. I feel very close to the elements, to animals. Also being born in Africa is part of that. And I learned about the white lions, which are very rare and new on the planet. The first photograph was only in 1975. And the indigenous culture of South Africa see the emergence of the white lion as an omen that things are changing on the planet. They are a sign. And many believe from the indigenous, but now it's also starting to move into beyond the circles of the indigenous people to the Western world as well, that these lions carry they have a very special consciousness. They're more evolved beings. And when I read her book, I was very interested because I thought it was just a fascinating idea. And then I met the lions also very accidentally. We went to visit Timbavati initially in 2008 and didn't expect to have such a strong reaction. A very strong heart opening with the meeting of these lions. It's as if you see a creature from a fairy tale come down and materialize in front of you, and it's real. It's not a movie. So that was fantastic, but it was also a very moving experience. And when I got to learn more about it, Linda Tucker gave me the dates of the lions when they were born. Mm-hmm. And given my background in astrology, I could relate all the information of the shamans, the indigenous people, and the dates of the lions. And we see that everything was confirmed through astrology.
What do you mean, the date of the lions?
Their date of birth, when they were born. Mm. So we could see that they were born under very, very special occurrences. They were all born, 3 generations were born on eclipses. And they were born also with alignments to stars in the sky that are related to these lions according to the mythology of the indigenous people. So it's one thing to read about it. It's another thing to actually see that the stars were there when they were born. That's not something you can invent. You cannot trick. And Linda didn't know about the astrology, so she couldn't. She wasn't aware of that until I told her. And I came back a few times to South Africa to do more research and to work with Alliance as a transformational tool, as a way to get in touch with nature, to develop animal communication, and to understand what they're about and what they are here to give us. And it was just, a natural process, which every trip brought, a new insight, a new revelation. And the last time I was there was in January 2013, so not too long ago. And for some reason, there were a lot of circumstances around this trip, but for some reason a group of 9 Norwegian showed up.
Is that coincidental?
To this day, I find this very puzzling. But it's interesting that even previous groups, there were always Norwegians. And because, they were there, I started to ask myself what is going on here, and what came naturally, because we did a lot of ceremonial work, is the need to connect the South with the North.
Okay.
Because we're talking about South Africa and Norway. So the names South and North are very strongly embedded in that. And it was a pure coincidence that I had also planned a trip to Norway 2 months later. And all these Norwegians showed up in South Africa. So we did an amazing ceremonial work, and it was very transformational. And we could feel again and again this need to connect the 4 directions, but particularly the South and the North, given that there was such a strong delegation from the North. Then another detail I need to add that I think is a key is that according to ancient tradition, back to Egyptian time and back to even before Egyptian time, is that what we now use as Greenwich Meridian to count the longitudinal line of the Earth is artificial. It's just the British wanted to have, the first line go through their country because they were dominating the world. So they decided that Greenwich should be number 1, the first line to count the meridians. But in reality, there were many debates about using the 31 East Meridian as the first meridian for several reasons. On this meridian of 31 East is where there has been the most ancient archaeological discovery of life, of bones, and archaeological sites. And the indigenous people see this meridian as where life first emerged. And this meridian crosses Giza and the pyramids of Egypt, and it goes all the way down south to the White Lion dot. Because you have to realize the White Lion exists in a very, very small part of South Africa. And it happens to be exactly south of the pyramid, on the Sphinx. And so it is. The interesting thing about this meridian is that on this path, it covers the most earth compared to all other meridians. And on the other side, as you cross the North Pole, it covers the most water. So there's something very powerful about this meridian. And it crosses through Norway on the other extreme. So all the way south of this meridian is South Africa, where the white lions are, and all the way north is the very east side of Norway. And by pure coincidence, where we planned to go for this trip to Norway was exactly on this line.
Oh, so you didn't plan it because you knew that it was there.
No. I organized this trip to Norway with another friend, Sul, and we looked at different places, because what I wanted to meet was the Sami people and the reindeer. And I wanted to learn about the indigenous people of Scandinavia. That was my interest. And we looked at different places, and we wanted to do something authentic. Not just, go touristical places, but really have a more, a stronger connection with the culture. And we found this lady that is a healer in the Tana region of Finnmark. And that was why we decided to go there. And the nearest airport was Kirkenes. So that's why we ended up there. And only 2-3 weeks before we actually left, I looked at the map and I saw that this 31 East Meridian is crossing exactly that location.
But what does that imply? Is there some certain energy there, or?
Well, absolutely. And as we speak of the white lion in the south, we arrive in Kirkenes and we go to an ice hotel there because it was our first day and we just wanted to acclimate ourselves. And we visited this place, which was, very nice. And what do we see? A white reindeer right at this place, which is not so common. I mean, you have reindeers, many of them have white on their skin, but this one was really glowing white. And that's the first one we see. That was quite interesting. And then we realized that among the Sami people, the white reindeer is also very sacred. They see the white reindeer as an animal of the first creation. From the white reindeer, the earth was developed. And the beat of the earth is the heart of the white reindeer. And they do not eat the white reindeer.
Oh, they don't?
They don't.
I didn't know that.
They only eat it for spiritual ceremony. So it's only on very, very special occasion when, the need to invoke higher frequencies and higher spirit are in order, that they are allowed to consume. And it's an honor to consume a white reindeer. But otherwise, they don't. And as I mentioned, among the African, the white lion is a sacred animal that is coming back to bring a new message. But also the white lion is said to be the first animal created and the last one that will be on the planet. The last animal to roar. So both indigenous cultures of these two extremes, north and south, understand there is a message from nature through these white animals. And as I said, this meridian is considered the meridian of first time, where life began. And you see these two prophetic animals situated on both extremes of the line. And it was fascinating to just discover that.
Is there something you can feel, like energetically, that it's a special place?
Well, I think that for many people you can just go there and not notice nothing, I won't say that you feel any special vibration, but it is, as we did ceremony in these different places, particularly in Africa, the, how should I put it? The experiences that we felt were so profound, so transformative, that you wonder, you know, if there is maybe another frequency. On just south of the White Lions, there is a calendar, a stone calendar. So they use stones to measure the position of the sun. And that stone calendar captures many of the shapes that were in Egypt. For example, there's a sphinx there, and there is a Horus statue. And it is said, again according to local tradition, that this is where the sky mated with earth to create life. It is a point of creation, an actual portal. And we were there, and the energies in that place are very powerful. It's called Adam's calendar.
Did you see the Northern Lights? Was it beautiful?
You know, the Northern Lights were extraordinary, especially when you see them for the first time. They look like spirits from the sky. So it feels like also some form of channel, antenna, a portal. And interestingly, 2013 is a year where there is a lot of solar storms.
Okay.
And solar storms cause northern lights. But there is a greater significance. I don't know if we have time for all of this, because it's going to take...
Well, I think it's very interesting with the Northern Lights, especially for Norwegians, and I think a lot of people are fascinated by it. But maybe you can take the short version.
Well, it is actually related to the astrology.
Okay.
And to the lions. And maybe to the reindeer. I don't know yet, but maybe. In astrology, we have 12 signs. And these 12 signs are the constellation where the sun is traveling. So in the course of the year, the sun travels through the constellation of Aries and Taurus and Gemini. And there are two constellations that are facing each other in a circle. Constellation of Leo and the constellation of Aquarius. Aquarius is the human, because it's a man that pours water, and he allows humanity to be elevated. So Aquarius represents human consciousness and human genius. And exactly opposite that constellation is the constellation of Leo. And Leo is ruled by the sun, and it's the lion. The sun, the light, love, gold. Now, we have to ask ourselves, why is the lion facing the man? Why is the Sphinx half man, half lion?
Yeah, why?
And if Leo is the sun, Aquarius is this planet Uranus.
Okay.
The reason why they face each other is that they are both apex predator. Both humans and lions are kings of this dimension, which means they are the one to regulate order on Earth. And they are responsible to keep the planet functioning in balance. And it is said, according to the tradition, and you can read that also in Linda Tucker's book, Mystery of the White Lion, according to the local tradition, the shamans were saying that at the time of prehistoric times, when men were living in caves, they met the saber-toothed lions because they were also living in caves. So they shared the caves with the lions, and they made alliances a pact.
Okay.
And they taught each other how to hunt and how to elevate consciousness, how to learn about life. So there is a very strong connection between humans and lions that is shown in astrology with these two constellations facing one another. And I don't know if you're aware of it, but we are now moving into the age of Aquarius. There is a big cycle of 2,000 years. The last one was the age of Pisces, and it was the time of Jesus.
Right.
And Jesus was represented by two fish. And now we are moving into the age of Aquarius.
Okay.
And the opposite is the lion.
Oh.
So at north is the human, at south is the lion. And the lions are showing up at the southern hemisphere,
Wow.
connecting to this meridian. So it's very interesting.
Yes, it's all connected. Wow.
So how do the northern lights come into this?
Right.
Just,
Have they always been there, the Northern Lights?
I believe so. It's not always easy to see them because you need clear skies and you need darkness. And as you know, in Norway, in the Arctic, the summer is all daylight. So you need to come in the winter or at the equinoxes. September, October, or February, March are the best times. So you need clear skies and you need to have these solar storms. Now this is where the connection comes. Leo is ruled by the sun, and Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. The sun is the sun. It's the power of love. It's the light. And Aquarius is the electromagnetic frequency that creates the light. So the it's an electric storm. The electricity brings particles in the atmosphere that make these lights happen. So it's related to the Aquarius-Leo energy.
I love connections. It's so interesting.